Hello and welcome to Steven's Automotive. In this video, we're going to be working on a 2016 Mazda CX-9, which comes with a turbocharged 2.5-liter engine. This is a four-cylinder engine, and it's a big four-cylinder engine. And full disclosure here, I've actually never done dry belts on this particular car before, or this particular engine per se. I've actually already popped the hood open, taken the top cover off, and with my flashlight I took a look around, and it just seems like to me it's the better approach is to do the belts from underneath. Seems a little bit more complicated to do it from the top, but don't worry, in a little bit I'm going to grab the camera, I'm going to point exactly and show you what I'm talking about. So what I've done is I've actually set the car in jack stands. I've taken the passenger front tire off the vehicle. I've taken the lower splash shield off and the cover right behind the wheel that sits on the side. Okay, these are all things that I will not be filming in this video. Now, I'm not too sure how much of a good view you're gonna get with me doing the work underneath the vehicle. I'll try to give it my best shot. I hope it's helpful for you and somewhat gives you a guidance on how to tackle this job. But I did want to mention one thing. This belt right here, from what I'm looking at, uh, I'm not real sure yet, but from what I'm seeing, it looks like this is a stretch belt. Most times, whenever we replace a belt like this, it's usually for a water pump, a power steering pump, sometimes even an alternator. And that particular accessory will have an adjustment that you loosen. And once you put the new belt on, you tension it by swinging it over or prying it over with a flat bar, with a pry bar or a screwdriver, and then at the same time you're tightening the accessory, and that puts tension on the belt. It does look like this type of vehicle just uses a stretch belt. Now, a stretch belt is pretty much what it sounds like. The way you put it on is either you cut the old one out, you put this one in, or you can also take the other old one out. I like to take the old one out, especially because I haven't worked on this vehicle before. This is an OEM Mazda dry belt. I'm pretty positive that it is the correct belt, but just to be sure, I'm going to be taking off the old one, match it to this one, and then I'll be sure that I'm installing the correct one on there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and move on, and I'll grab the camera, show you the top, what I'm talking about, and then I'm going to show you underneath, and you'll see that it's probably a better way to tackle this job from underneath. All right, so here's the very top view. This is a big four-cylinder, and even though the engine compartment is real big, it just seems to me like it's an easier way to tackle this job from the bottom. As you can see here, we got this harness in the way, which is probably not a big deal, but even after you unbolt this, right, you might be able to get to the serpentine belt itself, but to get to the actual water pump belt, which, by the way, the dry belt does what it dries, the water pump, does seem like it's better to tackle it from underneath. So here's what it looks like from underneath. I'll get a flashlight for you. Okay, so I've taken this cover off that goes right in here. All right, and I've taken my lower splash shield off, and that's because I was also doing something else, but you may get away without doing the bottom splash shield. And here's our dry belt. Now let me show you the dry belt, the condition that is in. As you can see, it's starting to crack, and that's what you don't want to have in your belts. You don't want it to get worse than this. Anyways, this is the actual dry belt for the water pump, and I'm gonna try to get my camera in there so you can have a better look. All right, so that's the water pump right over here. And as you can see, this belt is driven by the crankshaft pulley. So what we're gonna do is, once we take off the serpentine belt, right, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, right on that pulley, and I'm gonna force the belt to come off that pulley up there. And that's how we take off that belt. Again, I'm going to try to do the best job that I can in filming this part of the process. But then again, I don't have a cameraman. I'm all myself doing this, and I just wanted to bring you the best view as possible. So bear with me as we tackle this together. All right, so the tool that I wanted to show you that I'm going to be using for this job is this one right here. This is a, I believe it's called a closed box ratcheting wrench. And it's ratcheting because, as you can see, the part that grabs the head of the bolt or the nut, it ratchets, and it's got a button on either side to do that. But they also sell Serpentine belts, specialty tools. I'll throw the link in the description box below this video, but I'll also go ahead and link this below as well. This is good. I've had this for several years now, and it's helped me quite a ton. So I'm going to be using the 17 millimeter size on the hydraulic tensioner for the Serpentine belt, and I don't have much clearance. I'm doing this with the vehicle completely in the ground. I have the one side jacked up with the wheel off, and then it's just very tough to get in there, but I'll try to do the best I can. What I did wanted to tell you is that when I am at the point where I'm grabbing or where I'm placing the 17 millimeter uh, wrench on the tensioner, what you want to do is you want to gradually compress that tensioner because it's an hydraulic tensioner. I just wanted to let you know not to treat it such as like a bolt or a nut. No, what you want to do is place it on there and make sure you're going downwards with it. As you go downwards, you're going to see it compressing, and it's going to release the tension from the belt itself, and that's when you use the idler. You use whatever idle pulley, or actually the tensioner itself should have a flat side pulley. And what I mean by flat side is just most of the accessories that the belt drives are either pulleys that are ribbed, okay, or they're flat, meaning that the surface is smooth. The tensioner itself is going to have a smooth surface, and that's where you want to go ahead and with your finger, right, while you're holding down with the tensioner, you want to walk that belt out. And same thing when we're reinstalling the back, you want to walk that belt in. So let's go ahead and try to do this and try to show you what I mean. All right, so this is the tensioner right here, and I'm going to grab it right in here. This part, this solid part over here looks like a hexagon, okay? I'm going to put my tool in there, and I'm going to pry it down onto it. I'll put my camera down for a second while I grab my tool, place it on there, and then I'm going to grab the camera again and try to show you. All right, so I have my wrench right on the tensioner, and I'm going to show you what it does once you operate the tensioner. So I'm gradually moving that tensioner. You can see the tension came off the belt, right? But that's by me holding it. And right now my left hand is on the wrench, putting tension on that, releasing the tensioner from that belt tensioner. And my other side is holding the camera. So I have to put the camera down in order to take that belt off, but I think you get the idea. All right, this is what it looks like after I took off the belt. I started taking off the belt from the smooth, if you see that smooth pulley, that's actually the tensioner, the one that has no ribs on it. The crankshaft pulley right here, this big large wheel right in front of the screen, this one is the crankshaft pulley. So as I remove the partial amount of the belt from that Serpentine belt idle pulley, I had enough slack where I could remove it from the crankshaft pulley, and this is what it looks like. And now I can release the tensioner, right? Look at this. Let me see. You see how it goes down? It goes down even further because it has no tension now from the belt. There's no belt on there, so there's nothing holding it. So now I could just remove my belt. All right, so the belt's pretty much out. I just gotta take the portion of the alternator from above off, but I'm not gonna do that just yet because I'm gonna work on this other dry belt or V belt, right? And I'm gonna take that off. All right, so I have a 21 millimeter socket and I have a 1/2 inch ratchet. This is a pretty long 1/2 inch ratchet. and I'm going to use that towards my advantage, because the larger or the longer the ratchet is, the more leverage it gives you. Therefore, while I'm laying on the floor, I'm not in a comfortable position to use a lot of my strength, though. This is going to do most of the work for me. So if you have one of these, this will be great. Otherwise, if you have a shorter one, that'll do as well. Just keep in mind that you're going to be using a lot more of your strength. And while I filmed this part of the dry belt being taken off, I'm also going to use a flathead screwdriver just to pry on that belt as I turn the crankshaft. And unfortunately, this part I'm not going to be able to film. It's just very tough. I'll need both of my hands, and I don't have an angle where to set the camera. I'm going to try to put the camera above, all right, on top of the engine, and see what I could get. I'm just one person, no cameraman, and I'm trying to do the best I can to get this out for you guys. But a lot of the times it's tough to get. All right, I'm just wedge my flathead screwdriver between the belt and the bottom of the water pump ribbed pulley, and I am turning the crankshaft. And as I'm turning the crankshaft, that belt's going to turn, the pulley's going to turn, but I'm trying to pry this belt outwards. So here we go. Okay, so I have my screwdriver right here. This is actually the brake line, right? And this is not any danger because we're not under super high tension over here. So I place my screwdriver here, and then I wedge. I hope you can see this. You can see that I wedge the flathead screwdriver between the belt, right, and the pulley. So the tip of the screwdriver is sitting right here underneath this bolt, the bolt head. There's a bolt head right there that you don't see on camera. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn, and I want you to take a look at this. As you can see, as I'm turning it, right, because it's a stretch belt, you can see the belt is trying to walk off, but it just needs a little bit of prying on that screwdriver in order to make this job easier, in order for the belt to come off. So I just wanted to show you that part. While I put my camera down, I'm going to go ahead and and while I put my camera down, I'm going to have this belt off, and then I'll show you what it looks like without the belt. Okay, and this is what it looks like with the belt off. And take it off, and that's it. All right, so I can actually see the old part number on the old belt and the new belt match. And that's what I wanted to verify. I wanted to verify that I have the correct belt. And the reason why I do this is because of experience. So real quick, one time I had a car that had one of these stretch belts. I can't remember what the make or model was. I really forgot what it is. But it had one of these stretch belts that drives a water pump pulley. I bought an aftermarket, or I don't know whose car it was. Anyways, I ended up putting the belt on there. It's one of these stretch belts. I replaced it. I didn't really like, and I wasn't too satisfied the way it fitted on there. It seemed like it was loose, but then again, the last one was very stretched out, and it had a lot of cracks, just like our Serpentine belt in the car, right? So what ended up happening is after I installed it, I drove the car. Actually, I didn't even drive the car. I had the car idling, and I just see the temp gauge slightly go up. Long story short, what ended up happening was that they gave me the wrong belt at the parts store. So that belt, once I put it over the water pump, it was driving the water pump, but it wasn't driving it at the water pump wasn't turning at the exact revolutions that I should have been turning. It was turning slower than normal. And it was a funny thing because you could just look at it by naked eye and you could see the water pump spinning, but it wasn't spinning according to the engine RPM. So therefore, I learned my lesson, and I said, well, it took me a while to figure out too, because I was like, well, was this car working? Was this car operating like this before I touched it, or was it not? And this and that, and going back and forth to figure out was the wrong belt. And I spent some time, getting the right belt and figuring out what's going on. Therefore, I just don't even take my chances anymore, and I just remove the old belt, right? And even though I got this from the Mazda dealer, I still want to be 100% sure that this is the belt that's going to go back into this car. You can see here on camera, they're both the same size. Okay, just looks like the old one's a little stretched. Don't forget, this is the one that's got to go on first, and then the Serpentine belt goes on last. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on right now. Okay, so here, as best as I can show you how I'm routing this belt before I install it. I placed it on the pulley, the alternator pulley first on the very top, and then I fed it right down the bottom to our, let me try to turn the camera here, to our AC compressor, and then it follows all the way to the crankshaft. And the last place that I want to put it at is on the Serpentine belt tensioner pulley, which is this one, this idle pulley right here. And you can see that's a smooth surface, and that's what you want, because the rib side of the belt is going to be facing the opposite. So our smooth side of the belt is going to be on the pulley. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to gradually compress the belt tensioner, and then I'm going to slide this part of the belt on there. Okay, and just like that, I was able to get that a portion of the belt on the idle pulley of the tensioner, but as you can see, I had a little trouble on the alternator. The top side, a little portion of the belt came off, and pretty much what I had to do is at the same time as I'm compressing this belt tensioner, I was able to get my hand around from here, right on front of the AC compressor, and I was able to grab the alternator belt and put it right on top of the pulley where it should be, and just like that, it went right in. All right, so looking over at every component, I can see that every portion of the Serpentine belt and the dry belt are grabbing or routed through every pulley the way it should be. And that's exactly what you need to do. Just make sure you go over everything. If you have to go on top, look at it from the side, the bottom, make sure every portion of the belt is routed correctly, because you only got one chance at this when you start the car, and if it's not correctly routed, it'll destroy the belt. So once you know that and you're sure and you're 100% sure that the belt is routed correctly, then you could put these covers back on, and that's what we're going to do next. I'm going to install the covers back on, and then I'll crank this thing up and see how it goes. All right, so this is what it looks like after the belt's installed. Not much to see there. That's why I went ahead and replaced this belt from the bottom. So if you've done this job yourself before, go ahead and comment down below and let us know what tips or advice you have that could possibly save some time. Anyways, I hope that this was very helpful. And if you're the typical DIYer, like to save money and like to take this approach, I highly encourage you to do it. If you're a return subscriber, thank you for watching. If you're a new watcher, please consider subscribing. You'll see me in the next video, and best to you.